The sky was black. Smoke rose from the broken engine of a small human ship lying deep in an alien jungle. The forest around it was dark, thick, and filled with strange sounds. Giant leaves moved slowly in the wind, and glowing insects danced in the air. Inside the crashed ship, Ethan Cole, a young human engineer, opened his eyes. His head hurt. His body felt heavy. He sat up slowly and looked around. "Where the hell am I?" he muttered. The ship was half destroyed. Alarms were blinking, wires were sparking, and the communication system was dead. Ethan checked his wrist pad. No signal. No connection. No rescue. He took a breath. Great. Crashed on an unknown planet. Alone. Awesome. He grabbed a small backpack, some tools, and stepped outside. The jungle was hot and humid. The air smelled sweet but strange. He walked slowly, his boots crunching over red grass and glowing blue mushrooms. The sky above had two suns, one gold, one purple. Then he saw them. Footprints. Big ones. Not human. 3 toes, each the size of his hand. Whatever made them was massive. Ethan gulped. "Maybe it's friendly," he whispered. But deep inside, he knew that was probably a lie. Suddenly, something moved in the trees. He froze. A low growl came from the shadows. Then a shape stepped out. It was not a monster. It was a warrior. She stood nearly 8 feet tall. Her skin was a pale silver gray, smooth like polished steel. Her hair was thick, braided, and deep violet. Her eyes glowed blue. Her armor was black with golden markings, and she held a long, glowing spear. Ethan stared. She was terrifying and beautiful. She marched toward him like a storm. Her steps were heavy, strong, angry. Ethan raised his hands. "Hey, hi. I come in peace." She didn't speak, just stared. Her eyes were sharp and full of judgment. She circled him like a predator. Then she grabbed him by the collar, lifted him off the ground with one arm, and looked straight into his eyes. Ethan panicked. Wait, don't kill me. I'm not dangerous. I'm just a guy with a ship and a really bad travel plan." Still no reply. She tilted her head. Her grip tightened. He laughed nervously. Okay. This is intense. Look, if you're gonna kill me, can I at least say something first?" Silence. She raised her spear. Ethan closed his eyes. "Nice, but, by the way." Everything stopped. For a second, the jungle went quiet. The alien warrior paused. Her eyes blinked once. Then her silver cheeks turned slightly blue. A blush? Ethan opened one eye. "Wait, did you just blush?" The warrior's expression twisted into confusion, then anger, and then slap. A loud, echoing sound as her armored hand struck his face and sent him flying back into a bush. Ethan groaned. "Ow." "Okay." Note to self, don't compliment aliens on their butts. She walked past him, still silent, but her cheeks were clearly still glowing. He sat up, rubbing his face. "She could have killed me, but she didn't." He looked at her walking away, her back strong, her armor shining in the sunlight. "She slapped me instead. That's progress, right?" Then, a loud horn echoed through the trees. A strange alien sound. The warrior stopped. From the shadows, more tall figures appeared, other warriors, all staring at Ethan. He looked up, tired and bruised. This day just keeps getting better. 2 of them lifted him off the ground roughly. Kerala, the first warrior, turned to him one last time. She said something in her language. The translator on his wrist crackled but didn't work. He smiled weakly. "You're welcome for the compliment, I think." She narrowed her eyes. Then she walked away. As he was dragged deeper into the jungle, Ethan whispered to himself, "Fearsome alien warrior, huh? Yeah. And her slap still hurts." The jungle didn't sleep. Strange birds with 6 wings cried out in the sky. Trees hissed softly, like they were breathing. Somewhere far away, something screamed. Ethan was shoved forward again. His wrists were tied behind his back with glowing cords. 2 tall alien warriors walked behind him. They carried spears and rifles. Neither of them looked friendly. His lip still throbbed from the slap. "Okay," he muttered. Note to self: no more comments about alien anatomy, even if it's technically a compliment. They didn't understand his words, but one of the guards growled and shoved him harder. Ethan stumbled. The path ahead was made of dark stone, half covered in vines. It led up to a large alien structure, like a fortress carved out of the mountain. The walls glowed with soft red patterns. Fires burned in huge metal bowls. Everything looked ancient and dangerous. The woman from before, Kerala, he heard one of them call her, stood near the entrance, arms crossed. She watched him closely. Her expression was hard to read. Part disgust, part curiosity, part something else. She hadn't spoken a single word to him yet, but she had slapped him like he owed her money. He was marched through the large doors into a hall made of black stone. Strange alien runes floated in the air, shifting colors. Warriors filled the room, some with armor, some with strange tattoos on their faces. They looked at Ethan like he was an insect. A voice echoed through the hall. Deep, sharp. A male alien with golden armor stepped forward. Probably a leader or commander. He said something loud and sharp in their language. Ethan's wrist translator tried to catch up, but it was still glitchy. Human? Stray? Threat? Broken ritual? Unclean? That didn't sound promising. Kerala finally stepped forward. She spoke slowly, carefully to the commander. Her voice was sharp but calm. She didn't look at Ethan while speaking. The commander looked shocked, then angry, then confused. He said something short and pointed. Kerala didn't back down. She hit her chest with her fist and replied firmly. Ethan looked back and forth between them like a confused kid in a family argument. "Okay," he said to no one. "Either she's defending me or selling me as a pet." The argument ended suddenly. The guards pulled Ethan away into a side chamber. Inside, the room was round, dimly lit, and full of strange symbols. A floating device hung above the floor. It glowed with pale blue light. They shoved Ethan into the center. Kerala walked in behind them, alone now. She waved them away. The guards left. For the first time, they were alone. She stared at him for a long moment, then walked to the wall and pressed a panel. A new glow surrounded the room. The translator on Ethan's wrist finally beeped. Partial linguistic sync achieved. He looked up. "Wait. Can you understand me now?" Kerala tilted her head. "Some." Her voice was deeper than he expected. Clear. Controlled. She walked around him slowly, like a soldier inspecting a weapon. "You crash. You land in sacred forest. You speak strange words." Ethan smiled nervously. "Yeah, sorry about that. First contact wasn't exactly textbook." She frowned. "You insulted me." What? The compliment." He sighed. "Okay, in my culture, saying someone has a nice appearance is a way to show respect. It's a good thing, not an insult." Kerala narrowed her eyes. "You spoke of my form in front of warriors. That is challenge ritual." Ethan blinked. "Wait, so when I said that, you thought I was challenging you?" She gave a short nod. "Only warriors may speak so. To speak of the body means you wish to fight or mate." His jaw dropped. "Okay, wow, that explains a lot." Kerala crossed her arms. "You are weak, small, not warrior." "Gee, thanks. But," she continued, "you are not afraid." Ethan shrugged. "Not totally true. I was terrified, still am, but sarcasm helps." She didn't understand the word. He tried again. "Joking, humor, is how humans deal with fear." Kerala stepped closer. Her expression changed, less cold now, more curious. "Strange species," she said. He smiled. "You're not wrong." She turned to leave. At the door, she stopped. "Tomorrow, you face the circle." He frowned. "What's the circle?" Her eyes glowed slightly in the dim light. "Judgment. You speak before the clan. If they see weakness, you die." "Right?" Ethan muttered. No pressure. She glanced over her shoulder. Then, to his complete surprise, she said softly, "Do not say more things about my form." Ethan nodded quickly. "Got it. No but talk. Lesson learned." She left, and for the first time since he crashed, Ethan felt something strange in his chest. It wasn't fear or confusion. It was interest. She could have killed him, but she didn't. She could have ignored him, but she defended him. Why? As he sat alone in the glowing chamber, he looked down at his wrist device. "Note to self," he whispered. "Figure out how to impress an alien warrior without getting slapped again." He didn't know it yet, but the war hadn't even started, and neither had the real challenge. Ethan didn't sleep, not because of the hard floor, the weird glowing walls, or the humming sound above his head that pulsed like a heartbeat. He didn't sleep because Kerala had said something before leaving, something that kept repeating in his mind. "If they see weakness, you die. No pressure." He lay there in silence, staring at the floating runes on the ceiling. They shifted every few seconds, new symbols, glowing red, gold, blue. Maybe it was a clock. Maybe it was counting down to something worse. He sighed. "I crash-landed on a murder planet ruled by supermodel warriors who slap before speaking." Fantastic. Suddenly the door opened. A loud hiss, bright light. Kerala entered, holding a small tray. She walked like a soldier, head high, silent, precise. She placed the tray on the floor beside him. On it was a small black bowl filled with thick green liquid, and a chunk of what looked like burnt meat. Ethan sat up. "Room service." She blinked. "Trial begins in 1 hour." "Great. Can't die on an empty stomach." He picked up the chunk, sniffed it, and instantly gagged. "Smells like burnt tire wrapped in fish." Kerala raised one eyebrow. "High protein." He took a bite and immediately regretted it, but forced a smile. Delicious. Really brings out the flavor of panic." She watched him eat in silence. It wasn't awkward. It was something else. Like she was studying him. Not as a threat. Not even as prey. More like a riddle she hadn't solved yet. When he finished, she took the tray and stood. But she didn't walk away. "You fixed machine yesterday," she said. Ethan blinked. "What machine?" She stepped closer. "The healing core. You touched it. Rewired it. It worked after that." "Oh yeah." He nodded. "It was a simple capacitor misalignment. You guys were forcing too much current through a damaged coil. Nearly fried it." Kerala stared. He smiled. "Sorry. That probably meant nothing to you." She tilted her head. "You are not a warrior. But your hands are clever." He shrugged. "I build things. Fix things. That's what humans do when we're not busy blowing stuff up." She didn't laugh, but her lips twitched, just slightly. "Progress." She turned. "Follow." The glowing rope on his wrists faded. He stood and followed her down a long stone corridor, lit by hanging fire orbs. They walked past strange rooms, training pits, forge chambers, meditation halls. Other warriors stopped to stare as he passed. Some whispered, some sneered. One spat on the floor. Ethan kept his head high. Finally, they entered a round arena. Dark stone. High walls. At least 50 aliens were standing in the ring, all armored, all silent. At the far end, a tall figure stood on a raised platform. The commander from before. Kerala motioned for Ethan to step into the center. He did. Silence fell. The commander spoke in their language, loud, clear, powerful. The crowd reacted with mixed sounds. Some nodded. Some growled. Ethan's wrist translator finally kicked in. "This human speaks as a warrior but bleeds like prey. He is not of us. Yet he insulted a ranked female. He must now prove honor or face judgment." Kerala stepped forward. "He did not know our rights." The commander pointed at Ethan. "Then he must learn now." A figure stepped into the ring. Another alien, bigger than Kerala, scarred, holding 2 curved blades. Ethan's stomach dropped. "Oh no." Kerala didn't move, didn't help, just stared. The crowd began to chant. The scarred warrior walked toward Ethan, slowly, smiling. Ethan looked around. No weapons, no armor, no chance. I don't want to fight, he said. The scarred alien raised a blade. Seriously, I'm just a mechanic. The blade swung. Ethan jumped back, tripped, rolled away. Another swing came, fast. He ducked, barely. Adrenaline took over. He ran, dodged, grabbed a loose piece of metal from the edge of the ring. It was sharp. The next attack came, and Ethan used the piece like a shield. The alien's blade bounced off with a loud spark. Ethan kicked forward. Not strong, but aimed right. Hit the alien's knee. The warrior staggered. The crowd went silent. Ethan stood, panting, sweat pouring down his face. I don't fight with strength, he said, looking at Kerala. I fight with brains, with speed, with timing. The scarred warrior growled and lunged again. Ethan dropped to the floor and kicked up a cloud of dust. The alien paused just for a second. That second was enough. Ethan jumped behind and slammed the metal bar into the alien's back. It wasn't lethal, but it was loud. The alien hit the ground, dazed. The arena went completely quiet. Kerala stepped forward, looking at Ethan with something new in her eyes. Respect. The commander raised a hand. The human does not fight like us, he said slowly. But he fights. The crowd murmured in agreement. Kerala turned to Ethan. Her voice was low. You did not win, but you stood. He smirked, breathless. Standing's all I've got. She looked at the scarred warrior on the ground. You shamed him. Wasn't my goal. But cool. She leaned closer. Tomorrow I test you again. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Test how? She didn't answer, just walked away. He stood in the center of the arena, heart racing. And for the first time, he wasn't just trying to survive. He wanted to understand her. And maybe, just maybe, impress her again. Without bleeding this time. The jungle was louder at night. Insects buzzed like tiny machines. The trees whispered in a language Ethan couldn't understand. Every shadow moved, and every movement felt like it was being watched. Ethan sat by the edge of a glowing pool, nursing a fresh bruise on his arm. His body ached in 10 different places, and his legs felt like jelly, but he was still breathing. Somehow, behind him, the alien fortress pulsed gently with red light. The trial was over. He had stood in front of dozens of warriors, dodged death, and, by some miracle, hadn't ended up in pieces. Now they were giving him something they called honored observation, which apparently meant, we won't kill you. Yet. Kerala was standing nearby, silent as always, watching the trees like she expected something to come crawling out of them. Ethan glanced at her. She hadn't said much since the fight, but she hadn't left his side either. That had to mean something. You know, he said, gently rolling his sore shoulder. Back home we have doctors, beds, ice packs, a thing called pizza. This, he pointed to the bruise. This would be considered an emergency. She didn't answer. Typical. But after a long pause, she sat beside him. Not close, not far, just beside. The warrior you faced, she said, her voice steady. His name was Ralzek. He has killed 5 challengers. Some with blades, some with fists. Cool, Ethan said dryly. Glad you told me that after the fight. She looked at him. No smile, but a slight twitch at the corner of her lips. The closest thing he'd seen to amusement. You did not win, she said. I noticed. But you survived. That matters. Ethan leaned back, staring at the twin moons above. Yeah, survival's my specialty. Winning, not so much. Kerala turned toward him. Her eyes studied his face, quietly. She always looked like she was calculating something. Not cold, but careful. You confuse my people. He raised an eyebrow. Good. I confuse myself too, sometimes. You are not strong. You are not trained. You speak too much. But you stood your ground. You bled for honor that was not yours. Why? Ethan thought about it. No one had asked him that. Not even himself. Because if I ran, I'd just be another weak outsider. You guys would have lost all respect for me. And because I didn't want you to think I was just a joke. She blinked slowly. Her gaze didn't soften, but it stayed. I do not think you are a joke. He looked at her, really looked. She wasn't just a soldier. Not just muscle in armor. There was something burning behind those glowing eyes. Something fierce, but also something heavy. Do you ever get tired of all this? He asked. The rituals, the fighting, the pressure. Kerala looked away. The warrior must be stone. Emotion is weakness. Attachment is danger. That is what we are taught. And do you believe that? She didn't answer. Ethan leaned forward. Because I think stone can break. But people bend. And bending isn't weakness. It's survival. Kerala stood abruptly. Rest. We move at first light. Move where? Into the wilds. Training grounds. Far from the fortress. He stood too alarmed. Training? Like more fighting? Because I was really hoping tomorrow could just be nap day. There are things outside this jungle, she said, her voice suddenly sharper. Old machines. Weapons that wake in the dark. My people hunt them to keep balance. But lately something stronger has come. And I want to see if you can survive it. Great. Another mystery death trip. Kerala stepped closer. For a moment her eyes locked onto his. Not with anger. Not with judgment. With something unsure. Ethan, she said quietly. If I die tomorrow, do not stay. Run. Return to your stars. He frowned. Where is this coming from? But she was already walking away. He watched her figure disappear into the trees, silver armor reflecting moonlight. Something had changed. She wasn't just a warrior now. Not to him. And maybe he wasn't just a strange little human to her anymore either. The next morning they moved fast. Through thick jungle. Across rivers glowing with blue mist. Past creatures with too many eyes and teeth. Kerala never slowed down. Ethan followed, sweating and swearing under his breath, but keeping up. They reached a clearing by noon. Dead silence. A large metallic object stood half buried in the ground. Some kind of ancient machine, overgrown with roots and moss. It hummed faintly. Lights blinked along its surface like it had just woken from a 1,000-year sleep. Kerala stopped him with a raised hand. Do not move, she whispered. From the shadows a figure emerged. Tall, thin, nothing like her people. It was pure black metal, shaped like a twisted skeleton, with a face that shimmered like glass. No eyes, no mouth. Just a smooth surface that reflected everything, including Ethan. Kerala whispered one word. Sentinel. The machine turned toward them. Its arms unfolded sharp, long, glowing. Ethan stepped back. I thought this was just training. Kerala drew her spear. It was. Until now. The machine moved too fast. Kerala met it mid-charge, steel crashing against plasma. Sparks flew. Ethan ducked, rolled, tried to stay out of the way. Kerala shouted something. To your left. He turned too late. A second sentinel had emerged. Ethan dove aside as the ground exploded. Everything became heat, smoke, and noise. He reached for a piece of debris, a panel with wires. His brain raced. Circuits, power, logic cores. He saw it. A weak spot. HFY, he shouted. The sentinel turned toward him. Catch this, you toaster. He slammed the panel into the core of the machine. Sparks erupted. Then silence. Collapsed. Kerala finished her fight too, breathing hard. Blood trickled down her arm. She looked at him. You killed it. Ethan shook his head. I'm just good at hitting buttons. She walked to him closer than before. Her hand touched his arm just briefly. You are not just anything. Neither of them said anything for a long moment. Somewhere in the trees, the wind shifted. But in that quiet, bruised, burning space, Ethan realized something. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was becoming something much more dangerous. Something like trust. Something like connection. The fire cracked quietly, throwing soft orange light on Corolla's face. Her armor lay beside her, scratched and stained. She sat against a tree with one leg stretched out and her spear across her lap. Her breathing was slow, controlled, but Ethan could tell she was in pain. He sat a few feet away, poking the fire with a stick. "Let me look at your arm," he said. "I'm fine. You're bleeding. It will stop." "That's not the same as healing." Corolla looked at him, eyes narrowed. Ethan tossed the stick into the fire and pulled something from his backpack. A small white canister with a red label. "This is called medfoam," he said. "It's not magic, but it helps. Will stop infection. Seal the cut." I said I am fine. He didn't move, just held it out. She looked at the canister, then at him. Finally, with a sharp breath, she stretched out her arm. The gash ran down from her shoulder to her elbow, shallow but long. Ethan sprayed the foam gently. It hissed and bubbled, forming a clean seal. Corolla flinched. "Sorry," he said. "It stings." "I did not cry. I didn't say you did." He glanced up. Their eyes met. Something passed between them in that look. Quiet, but undeniable. Not friendship, not yet love, but a crossing point. A moment where one might become the other. She looked away first. He leaned back, resting on his elbows. The night sounds surrounded them. Buzzing, hissing, distant roars. But in this little space by the fire, it felt still. Corolla broke the silence. "That machine, it was older than my people. It was not supposed to be active." "Why was it?" Ethan asked. She shook her head. "I don't know, but it's not alone. There are more buried across the continent. We've seen energy spikes. Something is waking them." "Not exactly a coincidence I crashed here, huh?" Corolla didn't answer. Ethan frowned. "You think they brought me down?" "I think..." She hesitated. "I think your arrival is part of something larger. My people are not the center of the universe. We know this, but we also know when something dangerous is coming." Ethan rubbed his face. He was tired, not just from running or fighting or almost dying, but from not knowing what was happening, from feeling small. "I didn't sign up for this," he whispered. Corolla looked at him again. "Then why are you still here?" "I don't know," he said. "Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I care too much. Or maybe..." He stopped. She waited. "Maybe because you didn't kill me when I deserved it." Corolla stood and walked past him to the edge of the firelight. He watched her, her silhouette tall against the glowing trees. Then her voice, soft but steady. "You spoke before of bending. Humans bend. That is your strength." He blinked. "I have bent too," she said. "But only once. Only now." Ethan stood. His voice was low. "What does that mean?" She turned halfway. "It means, I fear what this is becoming." They were close again now, closer than ever. He reached for her hand slowly, not sure she'd allow it. To his surprise, she didn't pull away. Their fingers touched. Awkward, foreign, unfamiliar, but real. She stepped even closer. "You speak of connection, trust, emotion. Where I come from, these are seen as chains." Ethan's voice was quiet. "And to me, they're lifelines." They stood like that, just barely touching for what felt like an eternity. Then the ground shook, soft at first, then stronger. A low rumble rolled beneath their feet. Corolla pulled her hand back instantly. Her face changed. Warrior mode returned. "We're not alone," she said. The trees trembled. Birds scattered. From the distance, a low mechanical roar echoed. Corolla grabbed her spear. Ethan picked up his tool pack. Through the trees came a glimmer, cold metal and pale lights. Then another. Then 3 more. Sentinels. But bigger. And different. These ones had symbols on their chests. Symbols Ethan had seen once. Burned into the corner of a hidden file aboard his ship. A file labeled X-Archive. Do not open. They were not just security machines. They were relics of something older than both human and alien empires. One of them stepped forward, scanning the clearing. Unknown life forms detected, it said in a cold, inhuman voice. Origin human. Origin Qatari. Both incompatible. Ethan whispered, incompatible? Prepare for cleansing. Kerala grabbed his wrist and pulled him behind a tree. Run. Now. No, Ethan said. I've seen that symbol before. Back on my ship. These things, they were human-made. Or modified. She stared at him. Then the first blast hit. The tree beside them exploded into shards. They ran. Through the jungle. Dodging lasers. Rolling over roots. The air burned with heat and static. A cliff appeared ahead. Ethan didn't stop. He grabbed Kerala's hand again and leapt. They hit water far below, cold, deep, fast. Darkness swallowed them for a moment. Then they surfaced, gasping. They floated downstream, coughing and bleeding, but alive. Kerala clung to a branch and pulled them ashore. The stars above them flickered. Ethan lay on the wet grass, coughing. Okay. No more jungle walks. She was silent. When he sat up, she was watching him again. Her lip was bleeding. You've seen those machines before? She asked. He nodded. Not like that, but yes. Then you may be the key. The key to what? Kerala stood slowly. To why the stars brought you here, and why they won't let you leave. Ethan looked up at the sky, and suddenly, for the first time, he realized he wasn't just part of some wild adventure. He was part of something ancient, something waiting, and it wasn't finished with him yet. They returned at dawn, wet, bruised, half alive. The gates of the stronghold opened slowly as Kerala limped through, her head held high. Behind her, Ethan followed, his clothes torn, his skin marked with smoke and mud. He looked like a wreck, felt worse. Dozens of warriors watched them enter, silent, unmoving, like statues, but their eyes burned. Whispers passed like wind through stone. Kerala ignored them. She walked with purpose, blood still dripping from a cut on her cheek. She didn't slow until they reached the inner circle, the heart of the fortress. The high court. 5 elders sat beneath a curved arch of black stone. Warriors formed a wide ring around them, creating a circle of judgment. Ethan had seen many rooms in his life. High-tech labs, starship bridges, emergency war meetings. But this room felt heavier than all of them, like it remembered every soul who had stood here. Kerala turned to him and spoke in a voice only he could hear. They will want to exile you. Or worse. Great, he muttered. Any chance of a warm breakfast first? She didn't smile. Her eyes were too full. The middle elder stood. A tall woman with skin like polished bone and eyes that flickered like firelight. She spoke in her native tongue. The words hit the air like hammers. Kerala stepped forward and dropped to one knee. I return from the wilds. I bring knowledge. And I bring truth. The elder gestured to Ethan. You bring him. He is not the threat, Kerala said. He is not of us, came another elder's voice. He is corruption, an echo of war. You protect him too closely. I protect what is true, Kerala replied. He fought beside me. He saved my life. The first elder raised her hand. Let him speak for himself. Ethan blinked. Wait, what? The translator on his wrist buzzed. Stand. Speak. Kerala nodded once, almost apologetically. Ethan stepped into the center of the circle. Every warrior stared at him, some with anger, some with disgust, a few with curiosity, none with kindness. He looked around, heart racing. I don't belong here, he began, voice shaky. I'm human. I came from the stars. I crashed on your planet by mistake. No one reacted. But I saw something out there. Something you know is real. The machines. The sentinels. They're not just waking up. They're organizing. That symbol. He pointed to a mark burned into a piece of debris tied to his belt. That's not alien. That's from a project humans buried decades ago. Something we couldn't control. He paused. No reaction. And now, it's here. Still silence. He glanced at Kerala. She gave him a small nod. Ethan turned back to the crowd. You don't have to trust me. I wouldn't. I talk too much, I bleed easily, and I'm terrible at rituals. A few warriors grunted. He wasn't sure if it was laughter or warning. But Kerala? She risked everything to bring me back. Not because I'm strong. Not because I deserve it. But because she sees something in me that even I don't understand yet. His voice cracked slightly. I don't know what's coming, but it's bigger than me. Bigger than you. And if you let fear decide this trial, then you'll be alone when it gets here. The elders conferred in quiet, rhythmic tones, like waves rolling across stone. Then the verdict. Insolent. Weak, but not a liar. Ethan exhaled slowly. The oldest elder rose. The human may stay, but only under Kerala's shield. Her name is tied to his life. His fate is hers. Kerala stepped forward. I accept. The circle broke. But not everyone walked away. A deep voice echoed from behind the crowd. You disgrace your bloodline. A tall warrior stepped forward. Broad. Marked with red war paint. His eyes burned into Kerala's. Jurak, she said under her breath. Ethan looked between them. The air felt different now. Sharper. Your father stood in this circle once, Jurak said. He stood for honor, not for love. Kerala's eyes did not waver. He stood for truth. You lower yourself for a stranger. A soft thing from the stars. Kerala drew in a breath. Say what you came to say. I challenge. The word hit the stone like thunder. The crowd gasped. Ethan leaned toward her. What does that mean? It means, she whispered, he wants to fight me. To take my place. To erase your protection. Jurak lifted his blade. Kerala didn't flinch. I accept. Ethan grabbed her arm. You don't have to. I do, she said. If I back down, you die. And she stopped herself. You matter now. The fight began instantly. No announcement. No rules. Just movement and fury. Kerala was fast. Precise. A storm in armor. But Jurak was larger. Brutal. And angry. Ethan could only watch, helpless, as steel clashed with steel. Sparks lighting the dusk like fireflies. She dodged, countered, spun, struck. Blood sprayed. Roars echoed. But then she slipped. One mistake. One half-step off balance. Jurak's blade caught her shoulder. She fell hard. He raised his weapon to finish it. And Ethan moved. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just ran. Screaming. Jurak turned, blade swinging toward him. But Kerala was already moving. She rolled, grabbed his leg, pulled him down, and in one motion, drove her spear into his chest. Silence. Jurak gasped once, then fell. Kerala stood, bleeding, panting, alive. The crowd was frozen. She looked at Ethan. Her voice was rough, broken. You are a fool. He smiled. Takes one to protect one. She didn't speak again, just stepped forward. And this time, in front of all her people, she did what no warrior had ever done. She touched her forehead to his. In her culture, that was more than affection. It was a vow. The sky cracked open. Not from thunder. Not from storms. From ships. Dozens of them. Long, sharp, shaped like knives and shadows. They descended through the clouds in silence. Ignoring gravity, ignoring resistance. They weren't built to fly. They were built to hunt. The stars had gone dark behind them. Ethan stood on the high ridge of the alien stronghold, staring upward. His hands trembled. His breath caught. This isn't just another attack, he whispered. This is everything. Kerala stood beside him, silent. Her armor was scorched, one gauntlet missing. The wound from her fight with Jurak still hadn't closed fully, but she didn't show pain. Not in front of the others. Not now. Behind them, the entire fortress prepared for war. Warriors ran through corridors, dragging crates of plasma spears and energy bows. Children were led underground. Fire pits were extinguished. Old banners were burned, not in surrender, but in preparation. There was no room for legacy now. Only survival. A sharp mechanical cry echoed through the jungle below. High-pitched, layered, wrong. Machines didn't cry. But these things weren't just machines. They remembered. Ethan turned to Kerala. "What do we do?" She didn't blink. "We fight. That's not a plan. It is our only plan." He laughed, but it came out broken. "Of course it is." One of the elders approached. The old woman who had judged Ethan in the circle. Her face was grave. "The sentinels rise from the deep vaults. They are not just waking. They are calling." Ethan frowned. "Calling what?" She pointed to the sky, and then Ethan felt it, deep in his bones. A soundless pressure, like something vast had just noticed him, not as a man, but as a variable, as a flaw in the code. Kerala spoke low. "You said these things came from your kind." "Long ago," Ethan said, "back when humans still believed we could outsmart the universe. These machines were meant to secure new worlds, clean them, control them. They were meant to decide who gets to live and who doesn't. And they decided wrong. They always do." Kerala's eyes narrowed. "Then how do we undo what your kind created?" He didn't answer for a long time. Then he looked down at his wrist device. The old human tech had synced with alien frequencies during their journey. Absorbed signals, patterns, warnings. "Maybe we don't fight them with strength," he said. "Maybe we fight them with memory." Kerala tilted her head. "Explain." "They were built to follow logic. But you and me? We're nothing but chaos. Emotion. Instinct. That's why they fear us." The ground shook. The first wave came without warning. Machines tore through the outer jungle, shredding trees, melting stone. They didn't walk. They hovered just inches above the ground, perfectly still, until they moved faster than thought. Alien warriors poured out to meet them. Screams followed. Ethan and Kerala ran together, side by side, down toward the lower ridge. Plasma blades ignited. Arrows flew. He saw one of the children from the fortress trying to crawl out of a ruined tunnel. A sentinel turned toward her. Ethan didn't think. He threw himself forward, pulling the child out just as the machine's blade drove into the dirt where she'd been. Kerala followed instantly, stabbing through the machine's neck joint, twisting once, then kicking it back. Fell twitching. Ethan handed the girl off to a guard. "Keep her safe." The air reeked of smoke and melted metal. The world sounded like thunder and screaming. More ships broke the clouds. Kerala pulled Ethan into cover behind a broken pillar. The core. The vault beneath the fortress. That's where they're moving. Ethan's mind worked fast. That's where the original signal is. The beacon. If I can get to it, maybe I can overload it. Maybe. He looked at her, bruised and terrified. "I never promised certainty." She touched his chest gently. "Then I will walk with your maybe." They ran, through corridors collapsing, past wounded warriors and burning flags, down into the lowest level of the stronghold, a place older than the fortress itself. A vault of stone and steel. Inside, a massive machine pulsed with pale white light. It was not alien, not truly, human-made but twisted, evolved. It spoke when Ethan approached. "You are Error." "Yeah," Ethan said. "I get that a lot." He connected his wrist device to the core. The machine resisted. Codes flashed. Error messages screamed. Kerala stood behind him, holding the entrance against two sentinels alone. Her spear moved like lightning. Her armor cracked, but she did not fall. Ethan dug deeper. "Come on. Just one opening." The machine hissed. "You are not authorized." "I'm not asking." And then he found it. An old password. A joke left in the code by some long-dead programmer. "Werethekos." He typed it in. The core shuddered. All around them, the sentinels stopped. For a second. Then they turned on each other. Outside, ships began to crash. Sparks erupted. Smoke filled the room. Kerala stumbled back, her arm bleeding. Ethan caught her before she fell. "It's done," he whispered. The light faded. The silence fell. For the first time in hours, the jungle was still. They climbed out slowly, back into the light of a wounded dawn. The stronghold was in ruins, but it stood. People gathered. Warriors, elders, children, all watching them. Kerala leaned on Ethan's shoulder. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The elder woman approached. Her face was unreadable. Then she knelt. And behind her, one by one, the others followed. Not for Ethan, not for Kerala, but for what they became together. Later, when the fires cooled and the bodies were counted, Kerala sat beside Ethan beneath a broken archway. "You spoke of bending," she said softly. He nodded. "And you?" "I bent." He smiled. "Did it hurt?" "Yes," she said, "but not as much as losing you would have." He turned to her. "So, do I get to say it again?" She raised an eyebrow. "Say what?" "You still have a nice." She slapped his shoulder lightly, then leaned her head against his. And for once, there were no words left to say. Only the quiet victory of survival. And the beginning of something entirely new.